Hello, this is Tommy Ivy, video number 22. The title is Why God Says All Terrible Troubles Are Beautiful. Not just regular troubles, but just devastating troubles. They're beautiful. And before I get to the 4 points, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of my other videos I had. The last one I did was 613 Old Testament laws and how they apply today. That one was actually pretty good. The one that a lot of people watched is Bombs Over Berlin. That's my dad back in World War II as a 20-year-old veteran of 15 missions. He ended up flying, 34 missions. And did one on blessings, did one on God's wrath, wisdom, the King James Bible, how it came about, and then the one that a lot of people didn't see, but it's really good, is about the ancient manuscripts all the way to the English versions of the Bible, and that one I liked a lot. So if you like history at all, just please watch that one. 4 points. Point number 1, Song by the Byrds. Number 2, Why is there so much trouble in life? Number 3, a pretty interesting story. And number 4, what does it mean to fear God? Song by the Byrds. Ecclesiastes 3 has 14 contrasting life experiences that all people go through in a lifetime. And the Byrds in 1965 released a song that was number 1 on the billboards. It was called Turn, Turn, Turn. A side note, David Crosby was in that group. He later joined Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, which was a very successful group. The song, Turn, 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 came straight out of Ecclesiastes 3. It says, to everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, a time to reap. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to laugh, a time to weep. And the rest of the contrasting events are in Ecclesiastes 3. And let me find that and tell you about that. All right, it's also a time to laugh and a time to mourn. A time to speak and a time for silence. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. And there's others too, but these are some of the ones that are really contrasting. It was refreshing for a young person like me back in 1965 because there were other groups coming out where they didn't have anything good to say about Jesus. The Beatles at that particular time went to India and they met the Maharishi, and they learned transcendental meditation, and they learned and experimented with the Hindu gods. The Rolling Stones wrote a song called Sympathy for the Devil. And John Lennon had a song, Imagine, where imagine there's no heaven, imagine there's no hell. He also had a song, it's called God. And he said, God is a concept. I don't believe in Jesus. I just believe in me. I just believe in Yoko and me. And he was shot and killed 10 days short of 10 years after releasing this song. John Lennon now believes in Jesus, but it's too late. The Byrds probably didn't have a clue to the meaning of Ecclesiastes 3, but we're going to try to figure it out now. Number two, why is there so much trouble in life? And it's going to tell you that in Ecclesiastes 3. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 10 says, I have seen the travail which God has given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. So God gives travail, troubles, and some are devastating, like death, killing, war, mourning, like mourning at funerals, and others are weeping and losing, hating. And why does everyone experience these sorrows? Sorrows like death of a mom and dad, death of a child, cancer, divorce, money problems, losing friends. It seems pretty bad when you get the flu, and seasickness. We talked about that the other day. It's like you almost want to die. You want to jump in the ocean when you have seasickness. There's not a lot you can do about it. So these are bad things. There's a clue. Clue number one. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. God has a plan and a purpose for our lives, and it's not just random. The plan, as bad as it seems to us at the time, is actually beautiful, because clue number two is in verse 11. He, God, hath made everything beautiful in his time from the beginning to the end. It's beautiful because God sees the eternal side of life. We're going to put up a needlepoint that Patricia did on the screen now, and one side is pretty much what we see of life, and the other side is pretty much what God sees. God sees life, the big picture. He knows that we're not here that long, and what's important is eternity. In verse 14, the first part of verse 14, I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. So God, of course, understands eternity, and eternity is in man's heart, since we are made in the image of God. It says that in Genesis 1, verse 27. Eternity is a natural feeling for humans. An atheist who thinks that they're going to die and everything's just going to be black, he probably really has this nagging feeling that maybe it's not going to be all. Maybe there is eternity, and if there is eternity, I'm in loads of trouble, which they are. Why do we need the bad stuff? And that's in verse 14, the second half of 14. This is not clue number 3. This is actually the answer to the question of why do we go through such bad things in life. And God doeth it that men should fear before him. So God gives us all these sorrows because he wants us to fear him. That's the reason mourning is so good. And we have it at funerals, and why death is so important, because it actually brings the attention of death and to eternity, which is a good thing for us to look forward to eternity. In Deuteronomy 10, verse 12, and now Israel, what doeth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God? Number 1, to walk in all his ways. Number 2, to love him. Number 3, to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Who in the Old Testament exemplifies loving God with all thy heart? And that's where number 3, the story, comes in. In the ancient kingdom of Babylon, during the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar, there lived 3 Hebrew men named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men were among the many Israelites who had been taken captive from their homeland and brought to serve in Babylon. Despite their captivity, they remained faithful to their God, refusing to abandon their beliefs even in a foreign land. King Nebuchadnezzar, a powerful and ambitious ruler, had constructed a massive golden statue and commanded that all his subjects bow down and worship it whenever they heard the sound of any type of music. This decree was enforced with a severe penalty. Anyone who refused to worship the statue would be thrown in a blazing fiery furnace. When the music played, everyone in the kingdom fell to their knees and worshiped the golden statue. Well, everyone except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They stood tall, their hearts steadfast in their commitment to worship only the God of Israel. Some of the king's advisors told King Nebuchadnezzar that the 3 Israelites did not worship the golden image. Furious, Nebuchadnezzar summoned the 3 men and questioned them directly. "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not worship the golden image?" The 3 men answered, "We are not careful to answer thee in this matter." They're not careful because it came from their heart. They didn't have to think about it, didn't have to try to figure things out, half lie or anything. They knew really what they felt. "We will not serve your gods or golden image. Our God will deliver us. And even if God does not deliver us, it may be his will for us to die, to let us die." In Revelations 14:13 it says, "Blessed are those who die in the Lord." Well, they were saved. There was a 4th person like the Son of God in the furnace with them, and they were protected. No hair was singed, anything. So number 4, what does it mean to fear the Lord? Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they trusted God. They obeyed God, and they were even willing to die for God. In Jeremiah 33, verse 9, it says, "And it shall be to me," that's God, "a name of joy, a praise, and an honor before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them, and they shall fear and tremble for all the prosperity that I procure unto them." Fear the Lord. They said it is joy, all the good, the prosperity. Another benefit of fearing the Lord is that if you fear God, you don't have to fear man. In Matthew 10:28, it says, "Do not fear those who kill the body, but not the soul. Fear him who is able to destroy both the body and soul in hell." That would be God. Conclusion: bad things happening are actually good. Here on the beach, a good friend of mine, his wife just died. She's young. That's a bad thing. Another another man is going through some really serious cancer therapy. Another has had cancer also, and he's still going through cancer, and it's just, there's some bad things. It's supposed to send us closer to God. And we will now realize how awesome God is and how depraved and weak we are. We need to turn to him. We need to fear him so that we stop sinning out of fear and out of love. So I have a song for you now. It's called time for everything. I wrote this song with the help of some technology. And if you know me, I don't know any technology, but it works. In the morning light, a new day breaks, a time to sow and a time for grace. And every moment a gift from above. Every season we feel your love. And there's a time for everything under the sky. A time to laugh and a time to cry. In His hands our lives we bring, knowing there's a time for everything. And when the storm clouds come and the shadows fall, a time to heal and a time to call on your name. We find a way through every day to a brighter day. And there's a time for everything under the sky. A time to laugh and a time to cry. In your hands our lives we bring, knowing there's a time for everything. In the silence and in the noise, in every tear and in the joys, and you are with us holding on through every season, making us strong. And when the autumn leaves begin to turn, a time to rest and a time to learn. And every heartbeat and every breath guided by your perfect steps. And there's a time for everything under the sky. A time to laugh and a time to cry. In your hands our lives we bring, and knowing there's a time for everything. So that's video number 22. And this is Tommy Ivy signing off right at 20 minutes. Good job. Bye-bye.